Good morning, and welcome to the 2023 State of the City Address. Thank you all for joining us to celebrate the accomplishments of the city this past year. In the past, the State of the City Address has been part of a ticketed event in partnership with the Chamber of Commerce. That event is still happening next week, but last year the City Commission decided to add an event like this specifically designed for you, the resident and guest in mind, so that you can come enjoy this and not have to buy a ticket to do it. So at this time we will, first I say I hope you had an opportunity to visit at our department tables and visit with some of your neighbors as you came in this morning. There'll be another opportunity at the end of the program if you didn't get a chance to go to the department tables and meet some of our department heads and see the good work that they're doing. At this time, our official program begins with a formal presentation of our nation's colors by the Winter Park Police Department, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance and invocation offered by Pastor Troy East of the New Hope Ministry Baptist Church. If you're able, please stand and remain standing until the conclusion of the prayer. Colors present. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. Our Father in heaven, we come, O God, to tell you thank you. Each and every one of us here, Father, are not only thankful of your many, many, many blessings, but all of us are recipients of your grace and your mercy. And Father, we can say not only have you been good to us, but you've been good to this great city. So Father, we thank you for this city. We thank you for our elected officials that serve in such a capacity to lift up and magnify your name, but also beautify and keep this city what it always has been, a beacon of light to many. So we thank you, O God, for spirits like Mayor Phil Anderson. We thank you for Randy Knight and Sister Sheila DeCiccio and many others, countless others. But we thank you, O God, for all that you do for us. Now, Lord, we invite you into this place, to the state of the city. Be a blessing, be our guide. Come into this place and have your way. In the mighty name of Jesus, we pray. Amen.
Arms. Left. About. Face. Right. Up. Right. Post. Right. Down. Right. Face. Forward. Arch.
You may be seated. Thank you, Pastor East, for your blessings and the service you and your wife, the lady Letitia East, provide to our community. We appreciate you joining us today. At this time, I'd like to ask our Mayor, Phil Anderson, and City Commissioners Marty Sullivan, Sheila DeCiccio, and Chris Crusada to please join me on the stage. Vice Mayor Todd Weaver was unable to be with us today. You know, one of my favorite things to do as a city manager is recognizing 3 of the city's most outstanding employees as we announce our Employees of the Year. I would like to thank the mayor and city commissioners for their continued support of our city employees. We are a service organization, and that takes people. And the city commission does a great job of keeping our employees motivated and taken care of, and so I appreciate that. Again, this year, we have partnered with the Orlando Credit Union to present the very top honor given to an Employee of the Year, to employees by our city, which is the Employee of the Year Awards. With us today is Suzanne Weinstein, President and CEO, and David Duncan, Vice President of Member Services for the Orlando Credit Union. Please, Suzanne and David, please stand to be recognized. I saw him here somewhere. Oh, there it is. The Orlando Credit Union has been a long partner with the city and is the credit union that some of our employees are able to use and a big help to our employees. And today they're giving a $500 award to each of these Employees of the Year. So we thank them for that and their continued support of the city. At this time, I would like to welcome Clarissa Howard to the stage, Director of Communications, to present the City Employee of the Year, Stephanie Silva. Clarissa?
Thank you so much, Randy, Mayor, Commissioners, and our city residents. It is such a pleasure to be with all of you here this morning. I am Clarissa Howard, Director of Communications, and I know I only have 3 minutes to dote on Stephanie Silva, our 2022 Employee of the Year. So, yes, absolutely. She loves standing up here next to me. It's very comfortable for her. I wanted to make sure that I had a great speech for her to tell you all how wonderful she really is. So I wrote everything down. I hereby, no, I'm kidding. 3 minutes truly is not enough to describe why Stephanie has been selected for our Top City Award. It is not often in someone's career to meet a person with her drive, enthusiasm, and her thirst to learn. When we hired her in 2019, Craig and I knew that there was something special about her, and we needed and definitely wanted her on our team. And Stephanie, she brings such a fresh perspective to all of our communication strategies. She takes great pride in being the youngest member of our team, although she's only 2 months behind Megan. But since she technically is, she does bring a youthful spirit to the messaging, especially as she manages our social media tools. With every emoji posted, every tweet made, every Facebook post shared, there's a creative phrase and photo that is engaging with our followers and very cleverly written. But don't let her tall and dressed up stature fool you, because she can quickly kick off those heels, throw on a fluorescent yellow safety vest with reflectors, and make steel toe boots look amazing as she heads out to the field with a phone in one hand and a gimbal in the other. And I think it's really her warm smile, but she has a friendly knack to get even the most camera-shy person to talk about their role. She's able to capture their love for their jobs as she records them hard at work with genuine smiles and then sharing her closed captioned videos online. She's not afraid to hop in a ditch or go inside a big concrete pipe just to give our viewers a size perspective on how big that pipe really is. If she can shine a light on a behind-the-scenes worker, she'll do it each and every time to show how our employees make every day exceptional for our residents. She holds annual training sessions for 29 social media admins. She takes the lead in writing event-related press releases and proclamations, and we can always count on her to let us know what the Gideon's Cookie of the Month flavor is, which, by the way, she did let us know this month is Eternal Flame. And anyone that knows Stephanie, which I know her mom and raise her Valentine knows that she loves her sweets. I think that's why she loves all of us that she works with. In 2021, Stephanie was awarded the Shining Star Award by the Florida Municipal Communicators Association. And today we honor her, our very own Shining Star, as she is recognized as our 2022 Employee of the Year. Congratulations, Stephanie. We are so proud of you. And we thank you so much for being so sweet, and also for being such a bright light for our department and the city. Congratulations.
Almost forgot to give her the money. Now I'm going to ask Chief Hagedorn to come forward and present our Fire Rescue Employee of the Year, Travis Tacner. Chief Hagedorn, it'll be hard to top that enthusiasm.
I was going to say. They put me behind the communications director, who is amazing in her speeches, and of course, Stephanie, I don't know where you went, but congratulations once again. Very well deserved, and thank you for everything you do for not only the fire department, but for the city. So good morning, everyone. Mr. Mayor, commissioners, residents, and guests. It's always a privilege to be part of these special announcements, and it's my pleasure once again to recognize one of our most outstanding employees. It's especially true with this year's honoree. He's a native of Central Florida, attending both Glen Ridge Middle and Winter Park High School. He began his fire service career here in Central Florida and joined Winter Park in 2007 as a firefighter paramedic. Most instantly, he became one of the favorite personalities in the firehouse, becoming one of our most trusted colleagues and friends. And in the last 15 years or so, I've been very fortunate enough to be able to work with him, know him, and watch him evolve as a firefighter and a leader. In 2017, he was promoted to engineer, probably one of the most arguably competitive positions in the department. Soon thereafter, he became certified as an instructor, taking on the responsibility of training newer employees and certifying them both in emergency driving and the skills to operate fire pumps, accessing water supplies, and from the onset, he became an essential part of our training division. Most recently, he has taken the lead in rewriting the department's driver operator handbook and its entire program, which is essentially the how-to manual for our new drivers. This is no small task, as we incorporate old and new technology and ensuring the interoperability of our department as we continually evolve in firefighting strategies and tactics. Always a straight shooter, he will tell you exactly how it is, and always with a smile on his face and a quick joke, all while having the heart of a teacher, ensuring each and every student has a thorough understanding of the material. Recently, I received a phone call from a daughter of a patient we had transported to the hospital. She stated to me, "My father became very ill and needed help, and I wasn't sure what to do." She said he had difficulty hearing and was notoriously uncooperative when it comes to anything involving doctors and hospitals. So if there's any healthcare providers in the room, if you know what that adds up to. And she says, after a long pause, he's retired military. I've been there, I've done that, I know exactly what that is and what you have to face when it comes to patient interaction. Later in the conversation, she described how fearful she was of how her father would react to her calling 911 and creating a scene inside their home. She went on to say that Travis was one of the first ones through the door and instantly made a connection with her father. She said that she was in total and complete awe, her words, on how Travis somehow made it seem that it was her dad's idea to go to the hospital, which is pretty amazing considering the thing that she was describing him as. Her father was later diagnosed with a life-threatening condition in which waiting for another 10 to 12 hours would have potentially proven fatal. After a brief stay in the hospital, her father was later discharged and walked out of the hospital just a few days later. So on behalf of Mayor Anderson, the commissioners, City Manager Randy Knight, and the Winter Park Fire Department, I am proud to present to you our 2022 Firefighter of the Year, Travis Tacner.
We're going to put a height limit on future winners. Now I'm going to ask Police Chief Tim Volkerson to present the Police Employee of the Year, Hal Burkhart. Chief Volkerson.
Good morning. Thank you all for being here today. It's truly a privilege to present this award to Officer Burkhart. If you don't recognize Kyle, he does not dress like this on a daily basis. Kyle's our canine officer, so normally Kyle's dressed in tack gear with a baseball cap on. He's soaking wet from sweat because he chases his dog around all day at work. So we have 82 police officers in the city of Winter Park. Each and every one of them work extremely hard every day to keep our city safe. So when it comes time to pick an Officer of the Year, it's a tall task. This past year, Kyle's work separated him from all the other officers in our department. And I'm going to read some of Kyle's accomplishments and work over the last year. Officer Kyle Burkhart operates the only canine team in the Winter Park Police Department. He fully embodies one of the most fundamental law enforcement skills, which is conducting traffic enforcement. I know everyone here loves traffic enforcement, but it's a necessary part of our jobs to keep our roadways safe. Not only does this assure our citizens that our officers are actively patrolling the city to create a safe environment, but it is an important tool that helps us during criminal activity and criminal investigations. Within the past year, Officer Burkhart has made several significant arrests, located numerous stolen vehicles, and seized over 1,500 grams of illicit narcotics. He has also removed 4 firearms from convicted felons. During July of 2022, one of his most significant cases occurred when he had conducted a traffic stop and the driver fled on foot. Officer Burkhart was able to apprehend the suspect and make an arrest. A search of the vehicle resulted in the recovery of a stolen firearm, confiscated 1,000 grams of cannabis, 70 grams of ecstasy, and over $23,000 in U.S. currency, which was all drug money. To prosecute this case, he worked directly with the United States Attorney's Office and an agent with the Department of Homeland Security. Due to the solid case he compiled, the defendant received an 82-month federal prison sentence. Officer Burkhart additionally volunteers for outreach programs, bringing his canine partner to meet children and various other activities with his dog. Obviously, everyone loves to see the dog, and Kyle is always available to make that happen. He is an active member of the Metro SWAT team and competed this past year in the 2022 SWAT Roundup International, where our SWAT team placed 8th out of 53 teams from around the world. He and Wyatt are exemplary employees and a great asset to the department. Congratulations, Kyle and Wyatt, and thank you for keeping us safe.
You have to share that money with the dog. Thank you to all the department heads, all the city employees for what you do every day to make this such a great place to live, work, and play. So, now for the moment you've all been waiting for. I'd like to introduce Mayor Phil Anderson, who will deliver the official State of the City address and present the annual Mayor's Founders Award. Mayor Anderson first served as a city commissioner from 2008 to 2011, and after a 10-year hiatus, he rejoined the Winter Park City Commission, this time as mayor in 2021. He brings his 35-plus years of finance and operations experience as a successful business executive to the dais, and we see his strategic mind at work at every commission meeting. Mayor Anderson listens, He takes to heart the opinions of others, and he uses the feedback he solicits as he makes policy decisions that continue to add to the high quality of life in our city. Mayor Anderson and his wife Jennifer are supporters of many local organizations and know the importance of giving back to our community. We are fortunate to have him as our 55th mayor, Mayor Phil Anderson.
Thank you very much, and thank you for being here. You know, this is a great way to start the weekend, and it's a great way to start our day to see all the people that we represent and serve join us to celebrate these fantastic employees. But I'm here to tell you that the state of the city is strong. But it's strong mostly because of the people that are in this city. It's strong because you're here, you're paying attention, and you're engaged. It's strong because we have great people on the city's team. And it's strong because we have 5 very strong commissioners who do their homework every Tuesday night, who show up as independent thinkers, and have proven the ability to work together to build broad consensus on things that will last for generations. It is with great pride that I serve with 4 other commissioners, so thank you very much for being here today as well. You know, there's a saying that I love that's called freedom is hammered out on the anvil of discussion, dissent, and debate. And for those of you that happen to attend a commission meeting every now and then, you'll see that at play. There's debate, there's a dissension, and there's discussion. And then we move toward considering the issue at hand. And what people often see are the results of that effort. They'll see 5 votes to 0, or they'll see 4 votes to 1. And they'll think, oh my gosh, they all think alike. That is not true. What they didn't see were the 2 hours of respectful discussion, dissent, and reaching compromise so that we can find common ground on important business matters and policy matters in front of the city. I think that's our core strength, the ability to work together as people. The city is also strong because we're financially sound. Our resident values, the values that we've heard from our residents, they drive our priorities. And we're strong because we have amazingly resilient and strong businesses and organizations that make this community thrive. Especially our institutions like Rollins College and our arts and cultural institutions that really make Winter Park special. We're financially sound because we've succeeded to do this with no tax increase, no increases in our millage rate. We've managed to set aside the largest reserves in the city's history, about $18 million today. We've done every project so that it's fully funded without a tax increase. And we have stable city revenues and, frankly, a balanced budget, which you don't see at every level of government. But it's what we have to do in our city. And I want to thank those that Brandy, as his CPA background, and others in those departments that make sure that we don't spend more than we take in. This is an incredibly important part of what makes our city strong. You know, we look at the priorities that our residents, based on the values that our residents have shown us. In 2016, there was a visioning project where over 700 people who live and work in Winter Park were asked, what makes Winter Park special? What are the values that Winter Park embodies? And their top 3 responses are shown here in the largest letters. This is a word cloud. And the largest letters are the top responses: history and heritage, a small town feel, and a proactive plan for the future. These are the values that guide our priorities. when you look at the history and heritage, and when you look at the small town feel, how do we build on that? How do we keep it going? And we go through certain things. First and foremost is keep the charm and the scale of the community that we've come to love. And we've done that by sponsoring and with your overwhelming support, passing 5 key charter amendments that go a long way to making sure that that scale and that history is preserved and continues. Then we focus on investing in our children's and investing in our parks, things that will last for generations. And thank you very much to Commissioner Sullivan and Commissioner DeCiccio and others that made it a priority that Progress Point down on Denning and Orange Avenue would become our first new park. We planted 7 great oak trees, it seems like decades ago, and I'm pleased to announce that we're now going to get to phase 2, which means we got our permits, I guess from the city, to rebuild the road. So we can't do anything until we rebuild this road, and we've managed to get those permits, and that'll be starting shortly, and we'll be able to really get the green part of the park done later this year and into the first part of next year. So wait patiently, it's going to be amazing. The second thing is our Martin Luther King Jr. Park and our Shady Park. And you're going to see remarkable changes and improvements. We're keeping the fort, or what looks like the fort, at MLK. That was what we heard loud and clear. Do not take the fort away. Maybe you got to change the lumber, but don't take the fort away. That'll be there. But we'll also have a memorial corner to the namesake, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. When you go to Hannibal Square, we'll have a Hannibal Square Founders Garden. And then you move on to our fields, our playing fields. And thank you very much, Commissioner DeCiccio and others, for making our playing fields a top priority and finding a way to get all of them funded so that this generation of kids have completely restored and renovate playing fields. The other part that makes us strong in our history is long-term partnerships, 100+ year partnerships with some other key institutions here in Winter Park. We were founded in 1882 as a city. 3 years later, by a miracle and hard work, Winter Park landed the first college in the entire state of Florida, Rollins College. And today, that college is one of the top MBA programs. It has the top drama department in the state, and it continues to attract people from Florida and from outside the country to come in and see what Winter Park's about. In 1885, we also had the Winter Park Public Library was founded. We have a unique relationship that demands top library services to the residents of Winter Park. And 100 years ago, the Chamber of Commerce came to be. And today they are celebrating that 100-year anniversary with a lot of events. And these institutions all work together to build what Winter Park has become. But keeping that small town feel alive in the middle of 2 million people is hard. First and foremost, it's hard because of traffic. We have had an amazing grassroots organization spring to life this year called Fix 426. 426 is Brewer's Curve, 426 is Aloma, it's Fairbanks. People do not feel safe walking those roads. And it is a barrier between parts of the east side of Winter Park and the west side of Winter Park. And thankfully, FDOT, the Florida Department of Transportation, installed a new statewide position to look after safety. But because of this grassroots organization, and yes, your voice matters in Winter Park, we are seeing great progress and great ideas being shared, some of which will be implemented. We may not get everything we would like to see, but we're going to get a lot of things we need to see. And the other part of this traffic conundrum is embedded in our transportation board. Our transportation board has been working with staff to come forward with rock-solid things that we can do to make pedestrian and bicycle safety a reality. And we have the money in many cases to start implementing some of those goals as soon as we're defined. But really, a small town is about the neighborhoods. And how do you feel about your neighbors? How do you feel about the safety in your neighborhood? And this is where we shine. We make a major investment because you want us to in our police and fire departments. Our police and fire departments continue to have the top response time in all of Central Florida. And I'm going to pause and ask to give a round of applause to that group of people. So that's what history and heritage, and that's what a small town feel means about the values that Winter Park shares. But what about the third one? The proactive plan for the future. What does that really mean? And here, thanks to Commissioner Sullivan, thank you to Commissioner Weaver, and others, after many years of effort, this commission just passed the sustainability plan. This is an effort that has been boiling away with our Keep Winter Park Beautiful and Sustainable Board for probably 4 or 5 years. It is a far-reaching plan out to 2035, out to 2050. This is a long-range plan, and it talks about conservation. It talks about things that we can do with our tree canopy. It talks about waste reduction. And it also talks about our goals for electricity. And for many of you, you know that Winter Park has the amazing good fortune to own our power company. And that power company serves about 80% of our residents. We can choose what type of power we're going to buy. This is a privilege that not many communities have. We can choose to buy natural gas. We can choose to buy nuclear power. We can choose to buy solar power. But what should we be buying? And I will tell you that this discussion and this debate is probably the biggest policy decision that this city is going to wrestle with for the next 50 years. So we're going to do it right. Last year, this commission authorized a $100,000 study of how we can reduce our carbon impact responsibly, how we can do it credibly, and how we can communicate it simply to our residents. Because frankly, you've got to have 60 to 70% of our residents have to buy in, they have to understand it, because this policy goal has to survive 30 election cycles. 30 opportunities for people to abandon that plan, 30 seasons of discussion and debate about are we going down the right path. So we're going to do it with care, we're going to do it with thought, we're going to do it with expertise. And I think what you're going to see within the next 2 or 3 months is a responsible plan that has achievable targets based on finances that we control in a company and the power company that we control. This is a big deal. I think the other part of what makes Winter Park special is what happens in our economy. We have an energized Economic Development Advisory Board. It includes Betsy Gardner-Eckbert from the Chamber of Commerce. It includes our Park Avenue Trade Group as well. And we have a number of other citizens that have run big companies across the country participating in what makes our economy strong. That group has been working with a consultant to define a number of things, but one of them is about what creates the magic on Park Avenue. We walk up and down, and what makes it wonderful? What makes it magic, and what do we need to do to keep that? And one of the things that we've just recently learned, or I've learned, is that the reason Winter Park is magical and Park Avenue is magical is because we, unlike any other small community in our region, have a critical mass of comparison shopping. I'm not going to try to explain that because the board is going to explain it to us, but what it means is we're identifying what makes Park Avenue special, how do we hold on to it, and we don't lose that critical mass. This is an organization that's also going to be looking at what are the best industries, what are the best businesses on the second floor, the third floor that make Winter Park special. What we learned in COVID was that our largest sector of business is financial services and information. These are people who choose to live here. They don't generate a lot of traffic. They generate a lot of high salaries, and they love being in Winter Park for a lot of reasons. Let's do more of that. And this group is finding a path to do that. You know, the last part about what is our proactive plan for the future is really about what changes we're going to experience here. You know, Hurricane Ian was a wake-up call for us. You know, we've been burying our power lines. We've been building a resilient electrical distribution system, which works great for wind. You know, you don't see the winds blowing down limbs and knocking out. Our number of outages have dropped like a rock. We're about 70+% finished. We're going to get to 100% as soon as we can buy transformers. But that's going to happen. But what we saw with Ian was a 500-year rain event. We got 15 to 18 inches of water, not rain, water. After it compresses on the ground and turns to water, we got 15 to 8 inches of water dumped on our city in 24 hours. And it got dumped on Orlando, and it got dumped on Kissimmee, and it got dumped on the St. John's. This is a whole lot of water. Now, the good news is, by the old math, it's only going to happen every 500 years. So if we're ready to bank on that, we don't have to do anything. Well, we got to do a few things. But if we think that the old math may not work and there may be a new math, then we've got to do something about it. The city got together as the events were unfolding and reacted. The city got together after the events were well established and started saying, what are we going to do now? And we came up with 3 things we're doing. Number 1 is we're refreshing and updating and upgrading our preparedness plan so that by July of this year, before hurricane season starts, we will have a comprehensive checklist of preparedness. You know, if we're going to get 12 inches of rain, we're going to lower the lakes. We're going to lower the lakes when. If we're expecting rain events, we're going to make sure that all the culverts are open. You know, we've had a number of residents speak in front of the commission recently, and their voices have been heard, and we've got bulldozers making sure open culverts down near the Winter Park 18-hole golf course are clear and open so that they don't experience the same type of flooding they did before we owned the course. But there's other things we're going to do. The second thing we're going to do is we're going to tackle the near-term investments that we can do right now. You know, what needs to be repaired? What needs to be upgraded? What barriers do we need to put in? We're doing that right now. And the last one is long-term. The last one is complicated. You know, we've got to get this water from Kissimmee through Orlando, through Winter Park to the St. John's, 150 miles away out to Jacksonville, Florida. And we've got 100 feet of elevation to do about 150 miles of water. This is going to take some time. It's going to take some study. We've commissioned and authorized staff to do the engineering and the simulation that's necessary to do a lot of what-if analysis. What if this happens? Then what do we do here? We're going to try to find places to park this water for the 24 hours that it accumulates. There's a lot of things to do, and it's going to cost a lot of money. We don't know how much. But it's also going to take not just 1 year or 2 years or 5 years to figure it out. It's going to take a while. And it's going to take working across agencies to find a way to do that. But we're going to do it because Winter Park, while we're small, we're important. While we're small, we have the financial resources and the knowledge base of residents who understand this kind of an importance. And we're going to make it happen. The city is also strong because we have strong businesses and institutions, especially our arts and cultural institutions. You know, 2 years ago when we first took office, we said, we're going to win the battle of the lights. We tripled the amount of money we're spending on lights during our seasonal holiday in downtown Winter Park. And it made a huge impact on revenues for our retailers. We did the same, and we're continuing to invest and make that even better and better and better. And it makes a difference in attracting people, keeping people, and putting dollars into our retailers' pockets. We also used some of our grant money to make sure that we had an incredibly successful inaugural year for our Winter Park Library. We allocated over $1 million of grant money to make sure that we fully funded that first year, which was so important to the library. And I can't even read that, but I think it says that there were, today, a year later, there are over 107,000 physical things out there in circulation, and another 16,000 plus digital things out there. I say things, I have no idea what they are. CDs, books, I guess. Those I get. But we also invested in our downtown. And I have to thank Commissioner DeCiccio for bringing this to a head in front of our commission, that we really needed to replace the pavilion now. And we did. We accelerated that project. We voted to move that project forward. That was a 5-0 vote. And we moved that project forward. It came to fruition just in time for the season. And just over the Christmas and holiday season, we saw 8 major events take place that were all incredibly well attended. So what does that mean? What does that mean for our investors who have invested heavily in Winter Park? Well, what it means in terms of real estate, it means all of our asset classes occupancies are up over the last 2 years. If you really want to look at Park Avenue, you're up from 94.9% to over 97% occupancy on the Jewel and the Crown. Thank you, Jenny. But you also see that we initiated our first Main Street America program. We've got great leadership to bring Park Avenue even fuller into the presence of Winter Park, in the presence of the region. And we also saw the inaugural event of the Taste of Hannibal Square. These are all things that successful, strong businesses are doing. And I'm incredibly proud of our resilience, of our retailers who stayed strong during COVID, who found ways to stay in businesses, found ways to keep the lights on, because now they're reaping the rewards, and we appreciate all that they do. So that's where we are. The city is strong because we have financial discipline. We care about where our dollar goes. The city's strong because we've got a whole bunch of strong businesses and organizations and institutions. The city's strong because our residents drive our priorities by expressing what they value in the city of Winter Park. And the city's strong because of our people. I go back to this slide, and for those of you who have been sitting in our meetings for the last 2 years, we use this slide a lot because it works. But when you start drilling down, what makes the people so special. You look at the next layer: inclusiveness, character, involvement. And this year, when we were looking at who is the best embodiment of those kinds of characteristics, those values, one name came to mind, and that was Mr. Hal George. So Hal, if you'd like to join me up here. So Hal George is a fixture in the community. You've seen him in a lot of faces. But he moved here in 1972 to go to Rollins College. He graduated in 1976. Teresa and his wife live here and have raised 2 great kids. He's a grandfather to 4 children. And he founded 2 businesses during his tenure here. He founded Parkland Homes in the early 80s, and since then has built over 100 high-quality Winter Park homes. And he founded a real estate agency, Parkland Realty, that today is the premier Sotheby's International Realty. He did that to make a life for himself, so he's made a life here in Winter Park. But he's also made a life for many, many other people. He's changed lives. You know, a lot of us know Hal as being the co-founder with Thad Seymour, and I'd like to recognize Polly Seymour here at our table. Hal and Thad co-founded Habitat for Humanity, and since then have built over 57 homes, building more, mostly in Winter Park, but in other parts. Not only do they help the homeowners that ultimately have a home that they can call their permanent place. And if you want to beat rent inflation, the best way to do it is to own your home. This is a way there is continual affordability for people who own their home. But he's also affected the lives of many, many others, many of them high schoolers and college-age kids. I know for one thing, my sons and I had one of our first experiences at a Habitat house. Our job was to build a closet. And I have to tell you, I think we built that closet 3 times until we got the dimensions right. So there's a limit to skilled labor that you're going to bring on property. But it was a memorable experience for my sons, and they've learned what community service is about, partly through the Habitat program. Hal George has also been our county representative on the Community Redevelopment Authority. Since 2010, he's been a board member appointed by the Orange County Mayor. This is an important role in our city. It covers a good part of the core of our city. And we're going to be overseeing $20 million of investments over the next few years. And Hal will have a role in that, and he had a role in the construction of the West Side Community Center back in 2012 or 13 when that got built. So this is also a face of Hal George. He also is chair of the Housing Authority. And we talked about making housing affordable and beneficial and giving people a great way to live. Our Housing Authority has 5 buildings here in the Winter Park area. Great, that was a cheer. We serve over 1,000 people, of which 280 or more are teens and kids. As just a small token of our appreciation, I want to present this award to you. You know, Hal's got a busy calendar. You know, kids, his business, and his volunteer. And so we thought he needed something calm and soothing. And this is an original artwork for an artist named Toby McGee. I met Toby at a Winter Park Art Festival many, many years ago. And he named this the Beachscape Vessel. There's only one of them. Now, I didn't bring any sand, but I think if you want to do your own sand, you can do that. But this is just a small token of the beauty that you've added to Winter Park and the effort, and just a memento of thank you for all that you've done.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I know how Chief Hagedorn felt after following Clarissa. She was very eloquent, as well as our mayor, who did a great job with the State of the City address. Thank you. Very well done. I would have rather followed Randy, but just saying that, you know, you did a great job too, Randy. So the Anderson family did give me a couple of instructions if I were to speak today. I think Phil's was my rebuttal has to be limited to 1 hour and 15 minutes. And Jennifer told me to make sure that I remember my family's here. So I'll get that out of the way immediately. But thank you all. Teresa's here, Michael, Lee, and our youngest granddaughter, Marin, for the support putting up with my shenanigans for the years of these causes and things that I'm involved with, and I couldn't have done it if you guys were giving me a strong arm to stop, so thank you for doing that. And Polly Seymour, I mean, gosh, you know, she's a dear family member, and it's so wonderful to have you here today, especially since what you all may not know is today at Rollins is the Thad and Polly Seymour Day of Kindness being celebrated all day today. We have groups coming out to Habitat, and it's a wonderful event. So thank you for making the time to be here today, for me. I want to congratulate all of the winners, Stephanie and Travis and Kyle, for your awards. You're really the important people today here, and all of our commissioners who do that such hard work, and Randy for everything that you do, even the bad stuff, but most of your stuff. But no, I get this award really representing a lot of people. I have no solo act. I would be without a career if it weren't for the band. And so I thank you on behalf of all these wonderful volunteers, these kids that work at Habitat every Saturday. 30 to 40 kids are out there. We have a wonderful staff and residents at the Winter Park Housing Authority, the CRA agency that the mayor mentioned. There's 5 of us. There's not one of us. It's not just me. So I'm very, very blessed to be around so many wonderful people who we all share the same thing, which is a love for our city and a willingness and a desire to try to make it as good a place to live for us and our families. And so thank you for this. Not really, I'm embarrassed a little bit. I don't, feel comfortable with this kind of stuff, but it's beautiful. And that is an awesome piece of art. So thank you very much, all of you.
With that, I believe the next item on our program is Randy to open season.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That was well done, and congratulations, Hal. Sitting there thinking as he was going through all those accomplishments that, the second and fourth Wednesday of every month and an ulcer-inducing number of work sessions during the year. We've got 3 engineers, 3 attorneys, a CPA, and a master's in public administration sitting around the table figuring out what to do next. And so those accomplishments are a part of and that's not even to begin to list all the department heads, their expertise, all the expertise brought to us by our citizenry through these advisory boards. I mean, it's a great place to work, and all that happens with the community. So thank you all for everything you do to make this a great city. And that wasn't scripted, but we've reached the part of the program where our commissioners are going to share their perspective with us. Commissioners Sullivan and DeCiccio were just reelected without opposition to their second term, so they have 3 years before their next election. And Commissioner Cressada just completed his first year of service, and so he's got another 2 years remaining on his term. And so they're going to each answer the same question today. Can you tell us what your top priorities are for the remainder of each of your terms? So we're going to start with, in seat number order, we're going to start with Commissioner Sullivan.
Thank you, Randy. Yeah, I just wanted to comment that, in fact, Sheila and I did not receive any opposition. And I don't think it's because the Winter Parkers don't care. I think it's because you're thinking we're doing the right stuff for the city. So Sheila and I have 3 more years to do that. A lot of good developments have happened in the city, and I think a lot of this has come about through more integrating our city boards into the process of making decisions. And I look at our city boards as the eyes and ears for our city, both serving staff and serving the commission. And we still have a ways to go with that. We, the commission, have taken a couple of steps towards making the boards more integrated into how we manage the city. For instance, requests for proposals, if that addresses some area of the city that is covered by a board, the city staff will bring the proposal to the board for their review and comments, and that's new. Second thing is when there's a significant change in city policy. Again, if there is a city board that has a part in managing that policy, the policy goes to review by that city board. And that is a high priority for me because I believe that we can enhance the operation of the city by doing everything we can to activate these citizen boards. And I'm so thankful for the people that are willing to serve on those boards. Second priority is traffic and transportation. And we have an intensive project going on now to study our transportation. It's going to come in 4 phases, and they've just finished the first phase. By summer, thereabouts, we will complete, or the contractors will complete that project, come to us, and then I want us to go to work on activating the recommendations of that project. Be a lot of money, a lot of work, a lot of dislocations in our traffic system, but everything from, on our comprehensive plan, the priorities on traffic are in sequence. First are pedestrians, then bicycles, then public transit, and lastly, private vehicles. And that's a tough way to prioritize how we manage traffic, but that will be integral if whatever I can do to make that happen. So that's 2 things that I would like to see happen, and I'll pass it over to my colleague, Commissioner DeCiccio.
Thank you, Commissioner Sullivan and Mayor Anderson. You both really hit on pretty much everything I'm going to say, so I'm going to keep mine really brief. But I want to first thank everybody for coming today. And after meeting with you and listening to the residents of Winter Park, the following are the top priorities you have indicated that you see for Winter Park and which I am very excited to work towards. Number 1, the infrastructure, our sewer, electric roads, the conditions of our parklets. And as Mayor Anderson stated, Hurricane Ian taught us that we need to work on our infrastructure. While it was a once in a 500-year storm, it laid bare, literally, our aging infrastructure that must be fixed regardless of any future storms. Much of it is old and in need of upgrades. Some of the pipes are from the 1920s, much are from the 50s, and they are cracked, rusted, leaking, and broken. We cannot stop all the flooding, but we can do better, and the commission is called for, and the city is in the process of assessing what needs to be done immediately, in 1 year, 5 years, etc. We love our brick roads, and they are good at calming traffic. However, there are major divots, holes, etc. in them and need to be fixed so all our cars do not end up with new axles. The complaints from residents could fill volumes. Number 3, there must be a comprehensive checklist for each department as to protocol, and Mayor Anderson touched on that, and the city is in the process of doing that. In the past, staff did it, but many of those staff have retired or left, so it needs to be written down so that anybody can follow it. Traffic, I won't go into that again. It is a real problem in the city and the number 1 complaint from all residents. And we are working diligently with the Florida Department of Transportation on studies to make Aloma Ave, Brewer safer, and other areas in the city. Number 5, the outdoors is so important and a vital part of what makes Winter Park so special. We need to continue our work on our connectivity, bike paths, Me Garden, Finishing Progress Point, golf courses, MLK Park, playing fields, and making sure our lakes are healthy. Sustainability, again, we know that you know that we're working on that, so I'm not going to go into it again, but we have a new department within the city, and we will continue to strive to be more energy efficient, and really looking forward to getting that plan enacted. I want you all to know that I appreciate all of your emails. You are our eyes and our ears. Oftentimes, we will not know what needs fixing if you do not bring it to our attention, so thank you very much. And finally, I want to thank all staff in the city for their timeless, outstanding work. They are what makes the city run, regardless of who is sitting up here. During hurricanes or emergencies, they are working around the clock to make sure we are all safe. My sincerest thanks to them. And also, just today, putting together this event, the coordination of all the departments. You've got Parks and Rec setting up. You've got IT for sound. You've got communication for the advertising. You've got the police, the fire. All of the departments working seamlessly together. So again, my heartfelt thanks to all of you. And I turn it over to Commissioner Cruzado now. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Good morning. Thank you, Mayor, fellow commissioners, fellow residents, city staff, and to all that are interested in Winter Park. Thank you for your presence here this morning. I'll be brief as well. I think a lot of the points that have been previously mentioned are pretty much on my priority list too, but I'm just going to run through it very quickly. My priorities are to make certain the infrastructure projects that we have begun keep moving forward to completion. Projects like the electric utility undergrounding, parks at Progress Point, Howell Branch Preserve, and our initiatives to improve sustainability. Additionally, I'd like to encourage the city to find better ways to monitor and prioritize our other capital improvement projects, mainly those that maintain our infrastructure: wastewater, water, stormwater, public works, public safety, parks and recreation. We are living in interesting times, and I think sometimes the fear that's outside of Winter Park is going to be imposing on us to make decisions that are going to be difficult. We are living in times of inflation, increasing costs, interest rates rising. And I believe this will challenge Winter Park to control costs and finish capital improvement projects on time and within budget. We have witnessed this with the undergrounding. We started this more than a decade ago, and we're still at it. But that is a key integral part to making our city resilient. We need to complete that project so then we can move into other areas of sustainability, to have our residents make choices about their electric consumption, how they choose to consume electricity, how they choose to, if they want to move away from the internal combustion engine and move to electric battery vehicles. We are a conduit to make that happen for our residents. Furthermore, with the ever-increasing U.S. deficit, federal dollars that we may rely on for grants and for matching funds may dwindle. As the federal government tries to balance their budget, a lot of their programs fall by the wayside, and we are beneficiaries of those programs. So with the reserve that we have, I would like to keep the reserve or increase the reserve, because I anticipate a lot of the federal dollars going away or becoming more competitive to obtain. Lastly, a priority for me is, and certainly not the least, I would like to make our city employees a priority. The city employees of Winter Park provide a myriad of services that help to deliver our quality of life. In these inflationary times, we need to make sure we retain our best employees and have succession plans in place to make certain institutional knowledge is not lost. I believe my priorities can be accomplished through a balanced budget without raising taxes and without incurring more debt. And hopefully, we can increase our reserves. I look forward to working with the mayor and the rest of the commissioners and city staff on these initiatives and my priorities to make this city a better place to live. Thank you.
Well, I want to thank all of you for spending your morning with us. Before you leave, feel free to have some more refreshments and meet with the department tables and learn more about what each of the departments do. I hope you all have a great day. That concludes our program.